Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast. She's got a touch of buck fever. It's hot coffee at 5 a.m. and cold beer at 5 p.m. Soggy sandwiches and a drop time. But first, she's helping you navigate your trip of a lifetime. And now, here's your hostess, Carrie Zilka.
Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast. I am your hostess, Carrie Z. This week, we have a really interesting episode for you. I am on the line with Curt McAllister, and he is the PR manager for Toyota, and he covers the Midwest public, region? I mean, how many states do you cover? A lot, right?
Yeah, so under my jurisdiction, Midwest, I handle 14 states, which goes as far south as Tennessee and as far west as Dakotas. But I also handle outdoor communications on a national level.
Wow. Okay, so as you can see, we have a really interesting guest on, and you might be wondering, well, what does Toyota and PR have to do with the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast and heading out to hunt and fish in places? Well, we are fresh off the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers Conference, and I know I've mentioned it a couple times in the last couple of episodes that you haven't even heard yet, but the Aglow Conference, pretty sure you guys know by now that I'm a huge cheerleader. So, Curt, welcome to the show, and why don't you share your thoughts on the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers in general?
Oh, wow. It's a tremendous organization. When I first joined the organization, they were kind of tabbing themselves as kind of a regional-based outdoor press guild, but now they are a full-fledged national press guild because, as Mark Smith was explaining to me, they have like members from 48 different states.
Yeah.
So you can't. I mean, you're talking about blanketing the country. So what I love about Aglow is there is an equal balance in both hunting and fishing. They talk about a lot of things. They talk about conservation. They talk about of course they talk a little bit about Second Amendment. They talk about people who like to bird watch, people that like to just, walk the trails. And then, of course, you pull people in like myself, exhibitors and companies that try to make that outdoor experience even more gratifying for Americans. And of course, with me, I'm talking about our trucks and SUVs.
Mm-hmm. So what do you specifically get out of being a member, as a corporate member? Most of my listeners are probably going to be communicators who might be interested in joining Aglow, but what do you as a corporate member get out of it?
Well, I mean, you are, for almost a solid week, you are hanging out with some of the best outdoor writers in the country. And not only just outdoor writers, but I would throw influencers too. There are people in the social media spaces right now that are doing fantastic things. Podcasters such as yourself, that are doing wonderful things. So there's a myriad of communicators out there. And again, it's, the outdoors is like an onion. There's many layers to it. And so for me, every time I go, I learn something new about the outdoor space and maybe a way that my company can interact with that space.
Sure. And the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers is more than just the conference. And I think sometimes people forget about that because the conference is the big ball of wax for all of us, where we get together and we see all of our friends, we hang out, and and it's just such a good time. But we do, other than media camps and stuff, is the purpose of being a corporate member just the, exposure and to get people to write about you and interview you and highlight the trucks themselves?
That's part of it, Carrie, is, whenever there's a Aglow conference, we always make sure to bring a vehicle or two so people can crawl through them. This past conference, you brought the all-new Sequoia, which was a bit of a hit. And so nice. It's about that, but it's also about, my company believes in giving back to the outdoors. I mean, we definitely walk the talk. Yeah, we sponsor Bassmasters and Major League Fishing. You probably see us, associated with a lot of environmental projects, such as the Bison Project with the Sioux Tribe, even the National Public Lands Day. We've been title sponsor of that for, I think close to 25 years. But for Aglow, it's not only about the truck, but it's also about the relationships. One of those things that I'm most proud of is about 9 years ago, the executive board of Aglow came to me and said, "Hey, Curt, we have to find a way for our membership to get skew a little bit younger, because we're finding that, the median age is starting to creep up a little bit, and the only way for an organization to stay vibrant is to incorporate new members. So we created the Toyota Let's Go Places Scholarship Program. And so we launched that, and Aglow went out and found a great class of young people that had an interest for the outdoors or were looking to forge their way into it. And the beauty of the program is you bring these people in, and the scholarship covers their accommodations, their registration, their travel. And all of a sudden they are in a room full of mentors, a room full of people that were there once upon a time in their past. And all of a sudden relationships are forged, there's great networking, and people are finding jobs. And let's fast forward 9 years. Not only did Aglow see the value in this, but actually 5 other press guilds did too. And so this past Aglow conference, we celebrated a milestone. We gave out our 100th scholarship. And
wow.
The beauty of this, again, is we've already seen an impact. We've seen the ROI because some real superstars have come from this program. I think about Drew Youngdyke, who's actually communications director for Travel Unlimited, was my first scholarship winner 9 years ago. We have Lacey Joe Jumper, who's great in the agency space.
Sure.
And then we have someone like a Christine Fisher, who is one of the top female anglers, not only in America, but the world. So I look at these people and I take a little bit of pride that maybe we gave them a nudge. But
you should, yes.
Again, but this is a way that we want to give back to the outdoor space, not only through our products, but also through some of our extracurricular endeavors.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the scholarships, especially pertaining to Aglow. How does the process work? Say I know somebody who might not be 20 years old. What if they're 40 years old? Can they still be nominated or apply? And is it an application process? Does someone listening to the show say, I would love to be considered for this scholarship? How can I get an application? Is that how it works?
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. So, and again, predominantly most of the winners that we've had over the years have been young people. And again, I'm talking about people that are in their 20s. We actually have had a few high schoolers, but we have had a couple of what I consider non-traditional winners, people in the 30s and 40s, who are looking to make a change in their employment and maybe just to follow their dreams in the outdoor space. So, yeah, you would reach out to Mark Smith, who's the executive director of Aglow, and ask for an application. And again, it's essentially it's just a quick questionnaire of why is the outdoor space important to you, and what would you do if you received the scholarship? What would you do in terms of furthering your dreams? So it's every organization that handles my scholarship program does it a slightly different way, but again, it all boils down to a passion for the outdoor environment, and what you think this could do for you in terms of your future pursuits.
When people hear the word scholarship, they think of a monetary amount that goes towards tuition, say a college or university or tech school. Explain to the listeners what this scholarship actually funds.
Sure. So in the case of Aglow, in most of the organizations, it will, once they've identified their recipients, that money goes towards their registration, their accommodations, and their travel to the annual conference, but it also handles the first year of membership as well. So that way they're already incorporated in the organization. There is a state-based organization, Michigan Outdoor Writers Association. They actually take their money and they actually will also cut a small check for them to use towards maybe getting a digital camera or doing something that's going to enhance their career. So everybody does it a little bit differently. But most organizations like Aglow, they try to take that money that we've given them or gifted them, and they will try to find as many worthy recipients as possible for greater exposure.
That's pretty cool. Very, very, very cool. So talk to me about that new Toyota that you had at the conference, because that was pretty slick. And I know the first question that all of us are listening who are interested in and say have a press badge or something is going to ask would be, do we get a media discount on the trucks?
I wish, Carrie. I'm sorry.
I know. I knew the answer was no, but I wanted to ask and clarify it just in case.
Yeah, I wish we had a friends and family program or a media discount at Toyota, but we don't. But yeah, we had the all new Sequoia there, and it's been on the market for about 5 or 6 months now, and it's doing really well.
Yeah.
The one that seems to be doing well, we no longer have a big V8 in the Sequoia, so now we have a twin turbo V6 that's and it's a hybrid, by the way. It's capable of 437 horsepower and 100 pounds, so easily can tow a horse trailer, jet skis, a bass boat. And it's built here in the United States, and the pricing starts right around $58,000. But again, it's a vehicle that is important to people in the outdoor space because it is so off-road capable. And again, it's a vehicle we're very proud of right now.
Yeah, it's really nice. I was tooling around a little bit, and it's really nice. So I am in the market for a new truck, actually, but I don't know if I want an SUV or like a pickup truck. What as an outdoorsman, what would be some of the kind of questions that I would ask? A lot of times, and I know it seems so dumbed down. Like you go into a dealership and you say, hey, this is what I do. I hunt and I fish. What kind of a vehicle would you suggest for me? But what would be the kind of questions you would suggest someone asking if they are in the outdoor industry? Because if I bought a teeny tiny SUV and then I've got a billion pounds of, gear, what would you suggest to be some questions I should ask a dealer?
Well, I guess the first one is, how off-road capable is this vehicle? I mean, great. It looks good on pavement, but can it navigate deer paths? Can it do duning?
Yeah.
Can it go out in a field? Those are the questions you need to ask. Now, I just mentioned Sequoia. Two other products we actually have coming to market here in the next couple of months that we're really excited about. One is the all-new Land Cruiser is coming next spring. And then that's a vehicle that you can find all over the world. You can't navigate the jungles of Africa or the dunes of the Middle East without a Land Cruiser. So that's a vehicle that tows about 6,000 pounds. Again, it's got another 326 horsepower in terms of its performance. We actually dropped the price $20,000 on this. So
oh my God,
when it left the U.S. market about 4 years ago, it was around $70,000. Now you can get one for about $50,000. So all of a sudden that kind of opens up a whole new demographic for this iconic vehicle. Now, of course, you mentioned let's think about doing something outdoors in terms of maybe for our hunting and fishing advocates. Our all new Tacoma comes to market this December, and it's been the best-selling midsize truck in the U.S. for 20 years. And again, it's going to have a turbocharged hybrid engine. So we're talking about 326 horsepower. It tows about 6,500 pounds. Now, what's cool about Tacoma is we've started a new grade or a new trim level called Trail Hunter. And so Trail Hunter is now for all the overlanding enthusiasts. So now instead of a person who loves overlanding or getting off the grid like many of our hunters and fishermen do, you can actually buy all the accessories through Toyota. So you can get the tent system, you can get the ladder, you can get the fridge, the freezer. You can get a lot of those things that you would typically, put on your truck as aftermarket add-ons. You can now order through Toyota and have it retrofitted right there before you take ownership.
That's pretty interesting. I'm on the website, and I looked at the Toyota Tacoma, which I am familiar with. And just even looking at pricing, when I looked at the new Jeeps and stuff, I about had a freaking heart attack. No lie. Mm-hmm. And even some of the new pickup trucks and stuff, I mean, you look at that 60, 70, 80, 90,000. Like, who affords this? Yeah. I have a really good job in IT, and I'm like, I'm not paying $1,000 a month for a car payment. It's insanity. So the pricing is very appealing to me for the Toyotas and for what you get. I feel like it's more of a bang for your buck. So with all of the upcoming strikes and everything, everybody's freaking out about the price of vehicles skyrocketing. How do you think that's going to affect Toyota?
Well, I mean, inflation kind of affects everybody. Sure. But we do the best we can to kind of keep that median or that entry level range as low as we can for our customers. So, but you're right. The average cost of of a new vehicle today is $48,000.
It's nuts.
And so that that doesn't fit into everyone's pocketbooks. That's why actually used car actually it actually leads to two facts. One, the average age of a vehicle on the road in the United States now is 12 years. So most of the cars, a lot of the cars on the road are now over a decade old. So they don't have a lot of the cool tech that you associate with modern day cars. Yeah. And two, there is the supply chip situation kind of shrank inventory a little bit. So there's still a lot of great demand out there for vehicles. But sometimes the inventory isn't available. And so sometimes dealers will pad the price a little bit. We don't encourage that. Okay. But that's why, you might see MSRP on a website, for the new, say the new Sequoia, but then when you reach out to your local dealer, you may find it's a couple $1,000s more. And, we don't encourage that, but they are independent businesses. So, we try to keep that entry level price point for all of our vehicles at a range where most people can afford it based on that vehicle. A fully loaded Sequoia at $70,000, speaks to a certain person where a $25,000 Camry speaks to another person.
Right.
So we'd like to think that we've got something for everybody.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. Well, tell the listeners a little bit more about some of the other initiatives. Like we covered the hunting and fishing stuff, and you mentioned you guys sponsor the Bassmaster. Is that correct? Yeah.
So for we believe about being part of the American fabric. Toyota's been here in the U.S. for now over 60 years, and so that's why we dive into things that again speak to Americans, like NASCAR and Bassmasters, Major League Fishing. So we've had a Toyota-based fishing team, headed up by Kevin Van Dam for several years now, Mike Iaconelli. So, if you watch any kind of Bassmaster or MLF telecast on TV, you'll see our commercials and our logos everywhere. And so again, it's about being part graphic that would look at your trucks and SUVs. We're part of NASCAR, not necessarily to sell Camrys or Supras, but to sell Tacomas and Tundras, because again, that's the demographic that's watching those events. So, it's all about being where your audience is at. But I mentioned kind of a little bit earlier, not only those paid partnerships, but we have an environmental sustainment group within Toyota, and that doesn't even really touch on our products at all, but helps environmental organizations. So I mentioned this briefly. A couple of years ago, they entered a relationship with the World Work with the Sioux tribe to bring bison back to the Dakotas. So we provided funding for fencing that, in the hopes for the next 5 years, there'll be a herd of over 1,200 bison, over 27,000 acres. Again, this will be the largest Native American managed herd in America. And again, wow, these people use it. They use it for their business. They use it for their sustenance. And so it's just a way to give back to people and a resource that was taken from them hundreds of years ago. Yeah. So that's a big deal. We actually had a speaker at the Outdoor Writers Association of America conference speak on this, and it's important to Native Americans, not only again from a business sense, but they do have this kindred love for animals, where they see them as their brothers and their sisters. That's not Disney foofery. That's the real thing. That is the way most Native Americans feel about wildlife. And so to have 1,000 bison that's under their charge, raises the morale of the tribe, and again gives them resources they haven't had before. So programs like that, and even the pollinator program that we do with the National Environmental Education Foundation, who, of course, we partner with National Public Lands Day. They created a pollinator partnership about 5 years ago to help sustain and grow butterflies, bees, and bat habitats in 13 states, because as you know, Carrie, these little critters are very important to the environment in terms of flowering plants. So,
yeah.
Whatever we read stories about bee populations going down, that's going to affect everybody in the food chain, including us. So, we're helping preserve some of these habitats in these 13 states to help sustain these critter populations.
That is really interesting. I guess you don't think about like a car manufacturer being so involved with conservation and stuff. I think all hunters and fishermen, when it comes to conservation, it's near and dear to our heart. It's a hot button topic for us because we're seen as these killers and wanton, wasteful people, and we are not. And I love that we have a partnership with a car manufacturer that is really so involved with the same stuff that means a lot to us. So I think that's really cool.
Well, I mean, we all share the same planet, right?
Right.
And actually, our North Star at Toyota is a respect for people, and a more of an overarching is a respect for Earth. So, that's why we have a lot of these environmental initiatives. That's why we have a lot of our electrified vehicles. We do have Mother Earth at the heart of everything that we do. And again, whatever organizations that we can help in terms of furthering their efforts, be it the Sioux Tribe or be it the Pollinator Program, we want to lend support through our local team members.
Yeah. Well, very, very, very cool. Well, I for one want to thank you for your support of Aglow, because I know I say it a million times, but it is the truth. It is really near and dear to my heart. I've worked hard in many aspects behind the scenes to help promote and grow the organization, because I think what it's doing is so important. But we couldn't get where we are without supporters like you. So just want to say thank you for that.
You're very welcome, Carrie. It's a tremendous organization. It's as we kind of said before we came on, it is a family environment.
Yeah. And
it's an organization that again, in order for people to learn more about the outdoors, there has to be great outdoor content out there, and a lot of it's being provided by Aglow members. So it's tremendous.
Circling back just for the last few minutes of the show here, back to the conference, which was in Bemidji this year, which, oh my God, this was probably my favorite conference of all the ones that I've attended. And I've attended a lot of them. But I think just in terms of this year, we had the fishing tournament, which was fun. We had two, actually. We had the fishing tournament sponsored by Fish Donkey on Tuesday morning. And then throughout the week, Al's Goldfish, who makes fishing lures, sponsored one throughout the whole week as well. And I think that added a really interesting element to it with Trent Marsh as the new president, and all the board turning over and stuff. We've got some fresh ideas and fresh. Every new board of director has a different direction. But this year I think it was just extra fun. There was just so much more going on, and I love the fact that they took the time to reorganize the conference a little bit and just freshen it up, which I think any conference needs that every once in a while. There were the Learn It sessions, I think, were really, really well attended. I really enjoyed doing my Launch Your Podcast Today session. I wish I could have gone to some of the other ones. And did you have like a favorite session? I mean, other than mine, of course, but
yours is tremendous. Like
Thanks.
I said, Carrie, whenever I can learn more about the podcasting world, I'm just amazed, because just the commitment that goes into creating just an episode. And I believe you said during your session that 70% of podcasters who fail don't get to episode 8 or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
it is true.
So it's a grind to get there, but I can tell you on my phone, I think I've got like 16 podcasts in my library. Of course, one being yours. But me, I mean, it's almost replaced radio in many senses, in terms of whenever I'm traveling, I'll just pull up the latest episodes of my favorite podcast as opposed to just streaming music.
Yeah.
But there's such good content out there, especially in the outdoor space. Now, the one session for me that I found really was the use of artificial intelligence in outdoor content.
Oh, I missed that one.
Oh my gosh, it was that was the room packed, but there was varying attitudes about this. Now, AI is touching every industry out there. I mean, you see the screenwriters in Hollywood are still on strike, and one of the major pushing points for them is AI, because they're afraid that AI is going to replace them in terms of being a content provider. So the main discussion point that day was how many outdoor not only media outlets but also contributors are using AI to source their materials. And they talked about it's a great research tool, but don't depend 100% on it because they're pulling things from the internet that already exist. So there could be a little plagiarization at point. And actually some of the stuff on the internet might not be true. So, you can't just because it's on the internet doesn't make it a fact, right? So they just talked about the promise and also some of the tribulations that could come with being heavily leaning on AI software to get your job done. So it made for some really interesting conversations. For me, I lent a little bit something different to the story when we actually the eve before we revealed the all new Land Cruiser here about 4 months ago. We purposely didn't sent out embargoed press material to the media, but we refrained from sending out images because we didn't want someone to inadvertently or mistakenly put that image out there and just blow up the embargo or, blow up everyone's same sense of timing for the release. So we just sent out the press materials, which with most press materials are very descriptive in terms of the vehicle's appearance. Well, someone took those characteristics, those adjectives, those features, and loaded them into an AI software program and created a truck. And they said, hey, we think this is what the new Land Cruiser looks like, and put it out there. And so here was the eve of our launch, and said we had to go out there and tell people, no, this isn't it. This looks real, but this isn't it. But strangely enough and eerily enough, it was darn close to what the real version looked like. Again, just feeding in descriptors into an AI software package that was geared around photographs.
That's crazy.
So that's the world that we have to live in now, is that we might be getting scooped by AI photographs if we're way too descriptive with our new truck or new vehicle reveal. So
that's insane.
Again, it's insane. And again, some of these AI images you see on the internet are so lifelike. It's scary. Frankly, it's a little bit scary.
It is scary. And I use AI. I mean, but like you said, sometimes it's more for a resource so as a software engineer, I could look through the ServiceNow documents and piece together what I need, or I could just go to Chat AI and be like, give me a bulleted list of steps to do this process, to create this workflow or whatever. And it does. I mean, bam, 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 bam. And it's wonderful. But my other podcast, A Creative Mind Fiction, spawned out of a writers contest, a flash fiction writers group that I moderate. And the AI stuff has come up a lot lately. We had one writer submit a story that was basically completely AI. And when you took certain sentences and Google searched it, you could come up with like 7 different stories that it was pulling these sentences from. I'm like, I do not have the time to babysit all these writers and Google each and every sentence of every, to verify if it's really written by you or if it's written by the pewter, So, it's just crazy. It's such a challenge. But I use it as a resource, and I love it.
But as an editor, that was discussed. It's like there has to be transparency here too.
Yeah.
So if you're a stringer, a writer, a correspondent, a freelancer, it behooves you to tell your editor, oh, by the way, a good chunk of the story was aided by AI software.
Right.
And just so they know that all the content's non-original, and they may have to go back, and if there's statistics being used, Now they got to go circle back and make sure those statistics are real and not just fabricated or fake news.
Sure.
So if anything, it may have added a new step for editors to not only edit content grammatically, but also, can I trust what this person's come up with, especially if it came from AI software?
Yeah, I use it for editing my the writers that write for huntfishtravel.com. But I just throw it in there and I just say proofread for spelling, grammar, and readability. And it doesn't change a ton, but it does change, word placement and just verbiage a little bit. But so if from that standpoint, it's really helpful. But I just, it's just so many pros and cons that I wish.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wish
frankly,
it was in existence or not.
But fortunately, in the outdoor space, most of the writing and the content is experiential, right?
Yes.
You can't. I mean, if you went on a bass fishing trip to Wisconsin, AI is not going to help you out there because they have no idea what you experienced.
Exactly.
So if there's any segment of journalism that might be a little safer than most, it might be the outdoor space, because again, it's all about those adventures and experiences, and not what some software may have thought you went through.
Literally. Yep. 100% agreed. I think we can be a little secure that what we're reading is true to life. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation, and especially for writers, editors, anything.
Yeah. Those conversations are being held in literally every environment that involves writing now. Yeah. Every industry, every business segment that has some form of writing, people could be using AI software as an aid. But again, you have to be careful how much you lean into that aid, and just don't have it replace all of your original thinking and all of your creativity, because that's what the people in Hollywood are fighting for right now. That's why there's a delay on all the fall shows. It's because these people are now they're looking for more money. They want the promise that that these production houses are not just going to turn over scripts to AI software to write it for them. Yeah,
agreed. Interesting stuff. Anywho, I'm sorry I missed that. That session.
It all goes back to the Terminator movies, doesn't it? It's like, we could.
Oh my God! We just went and saw the movie The Creator. Oh my! It's bananas, blowing my mind, and I'm like, this could be like a real reality where AI and simulants and all this stuff are living. I mean, it's just, again, like you said, circling back to, what was it, 1984 and John Connor, and
So
and crazy.
When the technology becomes self-aware and realizes that we are not perfect. So
I know.
Yeah, it's an exciting world, but but like I said, again, we have to. There's a lot of things that got to be discussed when it comes to how much you should lean into this technology for particularly for people who write for a living.
Right, totally. All right, Curt. Well, I appreciate you taking some time this morning to come on the show and tell us a little bit about what you do for Toyota and how Toyota is helping the outdoor industry in general, and some of your thoughts on the Aglow conference. So why don't you... I mean, I usually say, well, tell me about your social media channels and your website, but it's literally like Toyota.com, people. So
the one thing I guess if I can hawk something is that we've got our newsroom site is toyotanewsroom.com.
Perfect.
And it's not just for media. It's not media centric. It's actually public domain. So because we believe that what we put out there, everyone should have access to. So toyotanewsroom.com, you go there and you find out about certainly about our new products. You find out about our partnerships. You find out about our initiatives in numerous environments, including the environment. And so it gives you a little bit more of a sense about what we're doing here in the United States. And like I said, it's constantly being populated by interesting content. So again, if you're in the market for a new product, go there. Or if you just want to find out about what we're doing in certain spaces, it's there as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I will post this. It's actually going to air in November, and I will tag you as soon as the episode is live.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie, for your time.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.